Are you playing your wildcard in Game Week 22? Then here is the best draft you can build. Let's get into it.
Yo, listen up, Rue is stepping up the game, where fantasy Premier League runs in his veins. From transfers to captains, he's always on top, guiding you through every game week non-stop. They say Rue got that Salah flow. Welcome to the channel, enjoy the show. Wildcards, free hits with so much vibe. If you're hunting for success, then make sure you subscribe.
Good day, mate. Welcome back to the channel. I'm FPL Root, and welcome back to another FPL video. So we've just had the double game week 25 announced. So Brentford and Man City are both doubling. So this is going to cause a lot of people to play their wild card. They've had enough of all the injuries, all the suspensions, all the players on international duty, and they're thinking about playing their wild card. So I'm going to build a draft that I think is the best possible draft to build at the moment with the current information we know. If you are new to the channel, please make sure you do subscribe. It really, really does help me out. And yeah, smash a like on this video too. We'll start off with the goalkeepers. So probably a bit boring. I have gone for Areola and Turner, with Areola probably being number one. This season, he's had a mixed bag. This is actually being filmed before the Sheffield United game, but after that, the fixtures are not amazing for West Ham, but they're not too bad. So Bournemouth at home in 22, Man United away, Arsenal at home, Forest away, Brentford at home, Everton away. So they won't blank in game week 26 either, which is pretty big, considering I know Arsenal, Chelsea and Spurs potentially could be blanking. Sorry, Liverpool, Chelsea and Spurs could be blanking. So that is really, you don't really want a goalkeeper from them teams. And for me, I got him for 4.2, 4.1 million, depending what you got him at. I think you can't really go better for that price point. I have gone for Turner. I don't love it. I don't think Forest are a team that is going to keep a lot of clean sheets, but they have started to turn their form around since Nuno Espirito Santo has come in as a new manager. They beat Newcastle away and Man United at home. Again, this has been filmed before the Brentford game, which is in the second part of game week 21. But them two wins are massive. So potentially Forest could be turning their season around and Turner could actually get a few clean sheets. Overall, I could have probably gone for maybe someone like David Raya. But again, I don't really trust Arsenal at the minute. Maybe even Edison, but he got a knock against Newcastle in the game yesterday. Could go for a Tiga if if Edison is out for a while. That could be a very good shout. But for me, I think save the money. You're going to need it with Salah, Son coming back from AFCON eventually. De Bruyne are now back in contention. More strikers being in contention too. So for me, I have gone for the cheapest possible, best possible, cheapest possible goalkeepers. So yeah, Areola and Turner. Next up, we have the defence, which is, I guess, probably the hardest part of the team to choose because there are a few injuries. There's not many clean sheets this season. We're kind of relying on attacking returns. So yeah, a bit of a hard one to choose. I have decided to keep, well, not keep, it is a wildcard draft, but decided to include Trent in the wildcard. I think that Liverpool are likely to have a double game week in game week 25. And for that reason, I know I'm definitely going to want Trent. So even if he's out for game week 22, 23, I know I'm going to want him for 25. And even before 25 in game week 24, he's got Burnley at home. So that could be a really, really good game for him. And to be honest, I'd play him in every single game because I think his attacking threat at the moment is just basically second to none. There's no other defender like him. He's basically a midfielder. And he hasn't really, I guess, shown his full worth, I guess, this season. 17 starts, only 2 goals, 4 assists, but that is still pretty good for a defender. But we know how good he can actually be. Last season, he got 2 goals, 11 assists. Before that, 2 goals, 12 assists. Before that, 2 goals, 8 assists. And then in 1920, he got 4 goals, 15 assists, 1 goal, 13 assists in 18-19. So not many goals, but still for a defender, 2 goals a season is pretty good. And them assists are just so valuable, and especially this season. In other seasons, you could argue, okay, Liverpool might not be the best for clean sheets, but they're actually probably one of the best. And Trent's attacking threat is just, like I said, second to none. A player that probably does run him close though is Pedro Porro, especially in the assists part of the game. So 7 assists is way more than Trent so far this season. No goals though, so yeah, having a goal will be great. But I think Pedro Porro, although the fixtures for Spurs are not amazing, they're still pretty good. And yes, but they are likely to blank in game week 26. But the fixtures before that, like I said, are pretty good. Brentford at home in 22. Everton away in 23, Brighton at home in 24, and Wolves at home in 25. Obviously, if they bank in 26, then that's not great. But I think the defense has enough cover to actually target combat that. And obviously, you got transfers up until then to take one of the Liverpool, Chelsea, or Spurs players out who are likely to blank in that game week, and that is not even a guarantee. But yeah, I guess they are likely to blank. And I guess next up, we'll talk about Estupinan. So a player that is very attacking, like Trent, like Porro. There is a common theme in this team. I'm just going for players that are very, very attacking. As clean sheets are hard to come by so far this season. 2 goals, 3 assists so far in 7 starts, which I think is really, really good for someone like Estupinan. Luton away, Palace at home. Then they've got Spurs away. Then in game week 25, Sheffield United away. Then Everton at home in 26. Then Forest away, Fulham away, Forest at home. So some really, really good fixtures up until game week 29 where they're playing Man City and Liverpool back to back. So you can definitely hold your Brighton players up until then. Estupinan, I do think he's coming back in now. He is nailed. He started against Sheffield, against West Ham. I'm not sure if he is started against Wolves because this has been filmed before that game in order to be able to get it out kind of straight after that game is finished. So yeah, for me, I'm not confident on Brighton's clean sheets. They've only kept 1 this season, but for me, the attacking threat is just incredible from these 3 players. On the bench, I've kind of gone for the same sort of theme, but obviously I wanted to keep the price down. So Gusto, now at 4.2 million, got an assist last time. Well, sorry, got a clean sheet last time out against Fulham, which was nice, and he's got 3 assists this season as well, so he can get attacking returns, and that's out from 10 starts. The fixtures for Chelsea are not as good as they were, I guess, over the last few game weeks. Wolves at home, Palace away, very, very good, but then they run into City away and a potential blank against Spurs in game week 26. So that game, if Chelsea do get through to the Carabao Cup final, is going to be a blank. However, that could see a double game week, maybe in game week 25, maybe in a I guess later on in the season, because Chelsea and Spurs are both out of Europe, so there's no rush to really get that game in. But yeah, I've gone for Gusto on the bench. I think he's the best player for that price point. I've also gone for Sven Botman. A very, very interesting one, considering Newcastle have only won 1 game in the last 7. So their form is shocking. But I think with the fixtures coming up, I think they can turn it around. Game week 22, Villa away is not good at all, but that's why he'll be on the bench. But 23, Luton at home, Forest away in 24, Bournemouth at home in 25. So some really, really good fixtures there for Sven Botman. Arsenal away, not the best in 26 when you kind of need him. But again, we've got a few transfers until then, so it's not really a big deal. It's just that chunk of period between 23 and 25, which I think that he can become useful. And for the defence overall, you could downgrade Botman, maybe go for someone cheaper, because you do have quite a lot of talent in there. Gusto can cover. You're happy to pay Gusto. So really, Botman is probably your 5th defender, so you could go a bit cheaper. But yeah, that overall, I think Estupinan, Trent, and Porro are locks in this team on the wild card, and I think Gusto as well. Botman, you can have a play around. Maybe you go for Doherty, who likely is going to have a double game week in game week 25. Maybe even someone from Aston Villa, an Aston Villa defender. So the midfield was probably one of the easiest parts of the team to choose from. I think there are clear options to go for, to be honest. And for me, it was actually pretty straightforward picking this 5-man midfield. We'll talk about De Bruyne first. Yes, we'll know his minutes might not be great, but I think by the time it comes to that double game week, I think he would have had a few games. He's got a long time to kind of get back to match fitness, to get a few games under his belt. Even if he doesn't start every game, I think De Bruyne can actually cause so much, do so much on the football pitch that he doesn't really need a full game. He came on for 21 minutes against Newcastle and he got a goal and assist and 12 points. So that just goes to show how lethal this guy is with his left foot, right foot, shooting, passing, dribbling. He's just an incredible player, and honestly, probably one of the best players we've ever had in the Premier League. I've gone through his stats before in a few previous videos, but yeah, his assists and goals throughout the last few seasons has been incredible, and I think he can still get a really good number, even with only 17 games left in the Premier League. City's fixtures, so obviously they did just play Newcastle, and then they'll go on a little 10-day break, and then they'll have an FA Cup game against Spurs, and then game week 22 against Burnley at home. So for me, I can definitely see De Bruyne maybe starting in that Spurs game and maybe being rested in that Burnley game. But I actually do feel like he'll play both games. I think there's enough time there, like I said, to actually get back to match fitness, to get back into the routine, to see how the injuries kind of how the injuries dealing with how the body's kind of dealing with playing and being back on the pitch, back in training, back with his teammates. So I think there'll be enough time there. Then Brentford away in game week 23, Everton at home in 24, Chelsea at home in 25, with a double game week with Brentford at home. So 2 home games in 25. Yes, there's always a caveat saying that, okay, you're going to bring in these players for a double game week, but will they only play 1 game week? 100%. But I think De Bruyne is a player that, if he is fit, he's going to be playing both games. And for that reason, he's in my team, because even if he's not, I think I'd trust him to come off the bench and actually deliver. Phil Foden wasn't a guarantee in this team. It was probably the only decision I had to make. I put him in for now because I think City's fixtures do look really good. And if Haaland is still out, I can see Alvarez staying up front and Foden still playing in his position. And like I said, the fixtures are really good. And who knows, by the time it gets to game week 25, Foden could not be an option anymore. And then maybe you can transfer him out for someone else, maybe for a Liverpool forward, or downgrade and upgrade to get Salah somewhere else. But for now, I think Phil Foden's just staying in the team because he's been very consistent over the last few game weeks. Yes, he blanked against Newcastle away, but he's done very well over the last, like I said, a few game weeks, and I think he will continue that. 5 goals, 6 assists this season in 18 starts. But like I said, most of them have come kind of since game week 17. Got an assist against Palace, a goal against Everton, 2 assists against Sheffield United. So for me, he is on good form. Can he keep that up? Can he keep his place? I think so, until Haaland's back, definitely. After that, I'm not too sure. But at the moment, he's playing very well. So it will take a lot for him to actually lose his place. We'll go back to Gordon now. So I guess a player that a lot of people have been taking in and out because of Newcastle's terrible record at the moment. I've already mentioned it in this video, but 1 loss in 7 is not great, especially when you've played Fulham at home, Luton, Forest at home, Everton. So you've played some beatable teams, and for me, I think Newcastle really needs to turn it around sharpish. And they kind of had this earlier on in the season where they won their first game. They beat Aston Villa 5-1. Then they lost to Man City, Liverpool and Brighton. Yes, that was a little bit different because they were tough games. But after that, they did go on a massive run where they were unbeaten in 7 and they only lost 1 in 10. However, since then, they've only won 1 in 7. So I think the fixtures will help Newcastle try and gain a bit of form back. And with Luton at home, Forest away, Bournemouth at home in the next 3, I think that's a real chance for Eddie Howe to basically save his job, to be honest with you. I think he's under huge pressure. They're going to want to kind of go into the second part of the season and and really turn things around. They have struggled a lot, maybe dealing with European football, but they're out of European competitions now. So hopefully, well, not hopefully because I don't really care, but hopefully Gordon, who, if he's in your team, will do the business. And for 6.1 million, still very cheap for a player that I do think is nailed. I think Ashley Barnes is still a little bit away from coming back. So for me, I think that position is nailed for Gordon. And Joe Linton, who sometimes plays there, is out for a pretty long period too, and under 20% owned. So for me, Gordon is a little bit of a no-brainer. Cole Palmer makes up the starting midfield. Yeah, I don't know what more I can say about him. 5.8 million. Got a goal against Fulham, penalty. Obviously, that's why we've got him in, because he's on penalties. 2 goals and assists against Luton last time out as well. He's actually started 13 games, so 13 games, 9 goals, 5 assists. Incredible. He's not even like he's so far forward that and he plays for a good team. It doesn't play for a good team. Yes, they've won 3 in a row, but they've been very winnable games. Doesn't play for a good team. Doesn't play that far. Plays far forward, but doesn't play that. He's not a striker to get that sort of return. And for me, he's on penalties as well. Obviously, that's a huge part of it. But I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you're lucky he's on penalties." Well, that's why we own him. I don't think we'd own a Chelsea midfielder if he wasn't on penalties and he wasn't 5.8 million, potentially even cheaper, depending on what price you got him on. But for me, Cole Palmer is a definite in this team. Although Chelsea's fixtures are a bit mixed coming up, I think he's shown that he can score and return against anyone really. Man United away, he got a goal. City at home, he got a goal. Spurs away, goal and assist. Arsenal at home, a goal. Yeah, so he's shown so far this season that he can deliver against anyone, and for that reason, yeah, Cole Palmer's in the team. On the bench, I've got Garnacho. I think for 4.8 million now, he is a player that I think is probably going to get a good few starts over the next few game weeks. And I think for that price point, he does enable you to maybe go for Salah and Haaland when they're back fit. He does enable you to maybe go for Haaland and De Bruyne if Salah does end up staying quite a little bit longer at AFCON. Yes, the fixtures are okay, I'd say, for Man United. I wouldn't say they're the best, but Wolves away, West Ham at home, Everton away are, I guess, tough, probably away games for Man United and probably West Ham, depending if they turn up or not. It could be a tough game for them. But then they got Luton away and Fulham at home. So overall, on the kind of scale of good games or not, I think over them 5 game weeks, they do have some really good fixtures. And Garnacho, for me, I think he'll start. I just can't see how they're gonna start Anthony. I know he's back from injury now, or even Rashford has been terrible this season. Garnacho's got 3 returns. This has been filmed before the Spurs game, Spurs Man United. So 3 returns in the last 2 game weeks. 3 goals, 2 assists this season with 12 starts. So not great, but I think 4.7 million sitting on your bench potentially could be used to come on in some of the blank game weeks where I think Man United's fixtures are actually pretty decent. So in game week 26, where Liverpool, Chelsea, and Spurs potentially could be blanking, they have Fulham at home. So a real chance there to kind of for him to come in and play. Overall, the midfield it is very cheap, very cheap with Gordon and Palmer in there and Garnacho. But for me, it does allow you to kind of go Gordon to Salah. When Salah does come back, it does leave that money there for you. And not only does it do that, it does leave, we'll talk about it in the forward section, but it does leave enough money for you to get Haaland back too. So we'll go into the forwards, where I'll explain that a bit more. So finally, we'll have a look at the forwards I've picked. So first up, we'll go for João Pedro, as he's probably the, I guess, standout one. 5.5 million now, and for me, it's just the fixtures. Yes, his form has actually been pretty good, kind of pretty good. He got a good return against Spurs. He's been getting these big double-digit hauls. Well, he got him a couple of times this season, to be honest, and for his price, I think he's a real bargain. 9 starts so far this season, 7 goals, 2 assists, so attacking returns in all of his starts, only 13.6% owned, and I bet a lot of them are from the start of the season. But for me, it's not really because of his form, although he has been great. It's his price, number one. Number two, it's the fixtures for Brighton do look so good. I've mentioned it with Estupiñán, but Luton away, Palace at home, then Spurs away, where he got 2 goals and assist at the home fixture, so he can do it against Spurs. Sheffield United away, Everton at home, Fulham away, Forest at home. So really, you can keep him up until game week 28. There is an argument he's not nailed, which I do get that. I do get that, but since game week 14, where he didn't start, he's only not started once. So for me, that's good enough for that price. I think for that price, you're getting a player that's on penalties, good fixtures, and I think at the moment with the amount of players, well, injuries, I guess, Brighton have got in their team and the amount of players they've got on international duty, I think João Pedro is virtually nailed to start. Obviously, that doesn't mean he's guaranteed, but I think he will be starting most games. And again, for that price point, you can afford him not to start maybe 1 in 4, 1 in 5 games. And the fixtures are so good that even coming off the bench, I think he can do damage. For me, there is an argument to maybe go for Solanke instead, and I am a big fan of Solanke. I have Solanke in my own team. I just think with Brighton's fixtures and saving that little bit of extra money in order to bring in Salah and Haaland when Salah does come back from AFCON, and Haaland does have that double game week in game week 25, I think having that is a little bit more crucial than maybe going Solanke over João Pedro. Another player I've got is Ollie Watkins. To be honest, if you do watch my videos consistently, I don't love Ollie Watkins as an FPL option. I think he's done great this season. Don't get me wrong, 20 starts, 20 attacking returns, 9 goals, 11 assists. But the problem is, I just wish that assist was a little bit more goals. Yes, it's only one different for a defender, for a forward. So assist is 3, goal is 4. But I think it just does make a difference in your points, and it does make a difference on bonus points. This season he's got double-digit hauls 3 times, so he does add the goals to the assists. But for me, there's been too many blanks. He's been kind of getting away with not looking like blanking as well, with obviously the assist, but blanked in game week 4, blanked in game week 10, 11. Blanked in game week 15, 16, which is fine. But the problem for me is he's blanked 3 in the last 4. So blanked in 18, 19, and 21. Well, he hasn't played in 21 yet, actually. So he didn't actually blank. But for me, I just don't trust him as an option that often. But having said that, I think he is a very, very good player to have in your team. I think, like I said, I don't trust him as maybe a player that is going to get a massive score for me, or is going to be there when I when I kind of need him. He's not like a Lukaku that will score against the easier teams. With someone like Ollie Watkins, he can score against anyone, so you have to play him and you have to keep him for kind of most of the season. For that reason, I have got him in my team, and I think the fixtures for Villa, although they are a bit of a mixed bag, like I said, I think Ollie Watkins can score against anyone. So Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away, Man United at home, Fulham away, Forest at home, Luton away. So really, up until game week 28, they only face Man United at home, which I think is a good fixture for Villa. Their home form has been incredible, and for me, them away games with Fulham, Sheffield United, and Everton, surely they've got to be picking up a few points in that. Alvarez is the next forward, so now at 7 million. Probably been a disappointment since earlier on in the season. Yes, he did get back-to-back goals in 19-20, but he did blank against Newcastle in game week 21. 6 goals, 8 assists so far this season, and to be honest, should have had more. He's missed so many sitters, I think, recently. It's been very frustrating as an Alvarez owner. However, now with the Haaland news that he will not be back in training potentially until the end of the month. For me, I think Alvarez is going to start in game week 22 and potentially game week 23. I think game week 23 is probably guaranteed to start, because if Haaland doesn't come back to training until the end of Jan, the 1st of Feb, well, the last day in Jan, the 31st of Jan, if there is a 31st of Jan, I'm not too sure. But that will be his when he starts back in training. I can't see him playing in that game right at the end of Jan, the last day of Jan. So for me, I think Alvarez is a really good option, at least for Burnley. Even after that, we've seen Alvarez play with Haaland all season. He's been playing number 10 behind, floating around Haaland, and he started every single game for Man City this season. So for me, it is a keep for now. But when Haaland's back, I do have the money in this wildcard draft to actually go from Alvarez to Haaland, and even go from someone like Gordon to Salah. Yes, you're limiting yourself because you're going to have Palmer, Garnacho as your players, and João Pedro. But for me, I think it's totally worth it, and to have someone of Haaland, Salah, and De Bruyne's, I guess, capability, I think it's worth it, and especially if Liverpool do get a double game week like Man City have got. That was it for this video. I hope you like this wildcard draft. Let me know what you think below. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get 2,000 subs before the end of the season, and smash a like on this video on your way out, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.